prescribing guidelines and its implementation, reorganizing the National Committee of Biosafety in the Philippines. And then the Department of Agriculture issued another administrative order. Number 8 was then replaced with the department circular. It's a joint department circular actually, composing the agriculture, the science and technology, the environment, the health, and the local government departments. On the issue, the circular, the DOST is tasked to, or the Science and Technology Department is tasked to regulate applications for contained use and confined tests of regulated articles, while the Agriculture Department are for those applications for field trials, commercial propagations, and transboundary movements of regulated articles. While the Department of Environment for the evaluation of environmental risks and impacts of regulated articles, while the local government department is involved in supervising public consultations during field trials. So the joint department circular was already revised last year, 2021, emphasizing that crops or plants without any novel genetic combinations are not covered in this regulatory policy. So plant breeding innovation techniques products are not covered by the revised joint department circular. Now, through the initiative of the Bureau of Animal Industry, which is also under the Department of Agriculture, the biotechnology team made the effort, the necessity to establish guidelines for GM animals and animal products. It was then during my short stint at the Department of Agriculture, Bureau of Animal Industry as the Assistant Director, we organized the team and I headed the technical working group for that. So likewise with the JDC for plant and plant products, the proposed guidelines for animal and animal products also involves the Science and Technology departments, agriculture, environment, health, and of course the local government department. Okay, the proposed guidelines is applicable to the following: genetically modified fisheries and other aquatic resources, domesticated animals and biological products used for animal husbandry or veterinary purposes, biological agents used for biocontrol derived from the use of modern biotechnology, and containing novel combinations of genetic materials. It is also emphasized in the proposed guidelines that the products of gene editing that do not contain novel combinations of genetic materials are not covered by this circular. So in making biosafety decisions, the concerned agencies will be guided by the principles under the National Biosafety Framework, namely standard of precaution, risk assessment, environmental and health risk assessment, socioeconomic, ethical, and cultural considerations, and access to information. The standard of precaution means that the lack of scientific certainty or consensus due to the insufficient relevant scientific information and knowledge shall not prevent the concerned agencies from making appropriate decisions. In such cases, the concerned department or agencies are expected to take necessary actions to protect the public interest and welfare. So the risk assessment shall be mandatory and central in making biosafety decisions consistent with the existing guidelines such as the National Committee for Biosafety and the Cartagena Protocol. Moreover, the concerned agency shall also consider the environmental and health risks. The socioeconomic, ethical, and cultural considerations shall also be taken into account, especially on the aspect of conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity and with regards to the value of biological diversity to indigenous and local communities. The right of the public and stakeholders to the information relevant to the biosafety decision shall also be respected by the concerned government agencies or departments. The draft of the regulatory policy is categorized into 4 classifications based on their intended use, namely research and development of a regulated article under contained use, research and development of a regulated article for limited release into the environment. Number 3 is commercial use of a regulated article under containment. And number 4 is commercial use of the regulated article for general release. Based on this classification, various agencies shall take part in evaluating and issuing biosafety permits. So for the research and development, the in-charge agency is the Science and Technology Department, especially Biosafety Committee of the Department of Science and Technology. They will be guided by the biosafety guidelines for contained use of genetically modified organisms. For the limited release into the environment, still the Science and Technology Department is in charge in coordination with other concerned regulatory agencies such as the Bureau of Animal Industry and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. No person or institution shall conduct research and development activities involving GM animals intended for limited release without the prior approval of the Science and Technology Department Biosafety Committee. Limited release means small-scale experiment or field trial of a GM animal species performed under terms and conditions that mitigate impacts on the surrounding environment according to the CropLife International. For the commercial use, either the fisheries and the animal industry bureaus shall lead in assessment and issuance of biosafety permits. There are 8 uses identified for the commercial use of a regulated article under containment: the food, feed, and for processing for animals, xenotransplantation, bioreactor for medical pharmaceutical uses or biofarming, bioreactor for industrial uses, animal pets shall be regulated by the Bureau of Animal Industry. Meanwhile, the food, feed for processing for aquatic species and ornamental aquatic species shall be regulated by the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. For the other possible uses, the lead agency shall either be the fisheries or the animal industry bureau, depending on the animal species. For the policy on the commercial use of regulated article for general release into the environment shall likewise be categorized into its intended use. This shall also be led by the fisheries or the animal bureaus, depending on the animal species. For food, feed, processing animals, biocontrol for agricultural purposes and animal disease control shall be led by the Bureau of Animal Industry. Meanwhile, the food, feed for processing for aquatic flora and fauna shall be by the FAR or the Fisheries Bureau. In this specific use, biocontrol for human health, household and industrial uses will be led by the Health Department in coordination with other concerned agencies. So the proposed guidelines shall follow this general procedure. First, the applicant shall submit its requirement to the Fisheries or Animal Bureaus Biotechnology Office. And then the Biotechnology Office shall serve as frontline service and will determine the necessary actions for issuance of biosafety permits. The said office shall organize a joint assessment group. The application shall be forwarded to the joint assessment group formed. The said group shall be chaired by the fisheries or animal bureaus, and it's composed of personnel from various concerned agencies based on a particular type of biosafety permit being applied as mentioned in the previous slides. The JAG or the Joint Assessment Group will make necessary technical recommendations on the application. The technical recommendation of the Joint Assessment Group shall be forwarded to the Bureau of Fisheries or Animal Industry Director and shall be a basis for granting or denying application for biosafety permit. So the regulated article may also apply for the regulation. Before expiration of the biosafety permit, either the Bureau of Fisheries or Bureau of Animal Industry may remove the regulated article from the coverage of the circular if, based on the nature of the regulated article will not pose greater risk to human and animal health and to biodiversity than its conventional counterpart. So the deregulation may be done in two ways: motu proprio and through petition. Motu proprio is a Latin of one's own initiative. The Bureau of Fisheries or the Bureau of Animal Industry may consider the regulated article for its deregulation. Either the Bureau of Fisheries or Bureau of Animal Industry shall declare such intention with supporting documents equivalent to the contents of a petition. If through petition, the applicant, among other requirements, shall state the factual ground why the circular should not apply to the regulated article and publish scientific literature relied upon by the petitioner. I think that's it. Thank you very much for listening.